Hey folks, welcome to another edition of Play Branson, where you get to know Branson's entertainers better. And today on the show, I actually don't have an entertainer. I have a guy from the attraction world. And every once in a while, we will bring an attraction on the show. And so today I have James Kelly, who's the owner of Branson's Wild World and the new Retromania. And you're like, what is Retromania? Well, we're going to answer that question today on the show. And so just want you to be watching and learn and listen all about Branson's Wild World and Retromania. Now, I have a couple questions that are a little bit of trivia. And so when you talk about retro, I'm going back. And so I'm going to ask you some questions, see if you get the answer right. Name the highest grossing film of the 1980s decade. Do you know the answer to that? I saw this movie so many times. It was E.T., the Extraterrestrial. There you go. What is the total number of Star Wars films released in the 1980s? The answer? 2. The Empire Strikes Back and The Return of the Jedi. Next question. What is the name of the first Indiana Jones series starring Harrison Ford? Raiders of the Lost Ark. The 80s were great as far as those type of things. That's when I grew up. And so that's a little bit of trivia. Folks, if you are coming to Branson on vacation, you need to check out the Taste magazine. Check this in your hotel rooms. You should have it there at your hotel. And this will help you on your Branson vacation. It's got a lot of menu samples. We're trying to give you tidbits on our show, so be sure to check out The Taste of Branson. There's also another publication out there called The Flavor of Branson, which has a lot of coupons in it as well, so you want to check those out as you are figuring out where to eat in Branson. We're going to be back in just a second with James Kelly. Hang tight.
There are so many things to do in Branson. You need help planning and booking all your fun. You need iBranson.com. You can find everything Branson has to offer from your computer, tablet, or cell phone. You can even buy tickets online or talk to one of their friendly Branson travel specialists. There's no sales pitches, no delivery fees, no service fees, and no waiting. It's fast and easy. Find your fun at iBranson.com. Do it all online or call 877-ENTERTAIN. That's 877-368-3782. iBranson.com.
Hey folks, welcome back to the show. And today, for the first time ever on the show, I have James Kelly, owner of Branson's Wild World and new Retromania. And so we're going to talk about both of those attractions, but tell people your history and kind of how did you get into the attraction world and the attraction business?
Well, I think a lot of people, just like me, get into stuff kind of by accident.
Okay.
And so I originally started as a haunted house guy. So for about 30 years, I did haunted houses.
Really?
And I started that when I was still in high school. And we just kind of, me and a friend, we just kind of were kind of into, and actually I was into radio and television. And so we went to a local haunted house in order to do a special because it was October and we were on like a free access channel on the cable or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so we went there and we're like, oh, this haunted house is good, but we think we can do better. And so the next year we took over some other haunted house and we started doing haunted houses, and then it just kind of blew up. From there, you know, the haunted house got popular, and then we met another person who was an industrialist, and he had had factories and stuff his whole life, and he's like, oh, you got to take this to the next level and start building for other people. And so then I started building attractions for other people, and you know, it started small, and then you know, it just got bigger and bigger and bigger, and for next thing you know, I was doing 7-8 haunted houses per year.
Really? That is very
for people all over the world, and I've actually built haunted houses and other attractions in 37 different countries, above and beyond this one. So
now, were you doing that? Like, were your haunted houses in St. Louis, or were they just all over?
The main ones that I had was in St. Louis.
Okay.
That was the ones we owned, but then we would build them all over the place. And then the funny thing is, we did that for about 10 years, and then at that mark, it was like no one was buying it anymore. And we're like, oh, well, we got this whole production crew. We got to figure out something else to do. So then we decided, well, we'll get into blacklight miniature golf, and we'll get into movie attractions, and we'll get into all these other kinds of things. And with dark rides, I built a Spider-Man dark ride up in Canada, and so we got into all these different attractions. And next thing you know, we were making just about anything somebody wanted us to make.
Wow. And so, how did Branson get on your radar? I know St. Louis isn't that far away, but
No. I actually did several attractions here in Branson. Funny thing is, living so close to St. Louis, you know how it is. When you live somewhere, you kind of take what's around you for granted. So I went to Branson when I was a kid a couple times, and then I had never been back to Branson until I did a couple of attractions here. And I did a mini golf for Grand Country, and I did another one which is no longer around anymore. But I did a couple attractions, and I really liked the area, and I always thought that it was something we should expand to, because we had the haunted houses in St. Louis and we were building stuff for other people, but I'm like, oh, we need to branch out. We need to go to these tourist areas. We need to, do some fun stuff in some other places. And my partner at the time, he didn't think the same way.
Okay.
So I got an opportunity about 9 years ago, where just one of my old haunted house clients out of the blue said, hey, I'm getting out of the zoo business, but I really hate to see it go. Would you be interested in taking all these animals if I donated them to you? And then I had this crazy idea way back then about combining what I did, which was family entertainment, with animals. And so that's kind of how Wild World was born.
So, I think that's the first time I've maybe sneezed live on camera, but we keep rolling, so that's
must be
crazy.
Allergic to me.
I don't know. I think it was the animal thing when you said that. So you have this guy say, hey, here's a bunch of animals if you want to use them, and you have this entrepreneurial background, you have this construction background, and you're like, maybe I can make an attraction out of all this.
Yeah, and it's kind of weird how things just kind of all fall into place sometimes for people, And at the time, it was like right after the 2008, 2009 when the economy kind of took a dip, And I was able to kind of luckily find a location that may not have been available to me when Branson was super busy,
Right.
And so I was able to find an appropriate location, and then I just kind of went for it after that.
Yeah. And so Branson's Wild World has been open how many years now?
I think we're in our 11th season now.
11th season. Now, folks, if you don't know where Branson's Wild World is, if you go out on West 76 Country Boulevard, eventually you're going to hit a Walmart on the left-hand side, and it is just to the left of Walmart, but it's kind of down in a hole a little bit. You got to sign up by the road, and because it used to be an office supply store, like Office Depot or something.
Well, it used to have a much bigger sign, but the tornado tore it down.
Okay.
Literally right before we opened, because we opened the same year of the tornado.
Yeah.
And so then we had to, find other ways to attract people to ourselves. But, the nice thing about what we do is I could have probably built it a mile away and people still would come if I advertised correctly and I had the right things that people wanted. So being down the hill was a challenge. It's not as easy as being on the strip where that visual just makes people turn right in, and so, but it's still a good location. And I really like
so it's
it.
right next to Walmart, and so it's, if you see Taco Bell, you turn really right past Taco Bell if you're coming from the east headed west. So, and it's a big building. So tell people about what can they experience at Branson's Wild World?
Well, we're not a typical zoo. A lot of people come in and say, "Oh, this isn't a zoo." Well, it really isn't a zoo. It's a full animal experience, and it's great for the whole family. And what we try to do is get people really close. Because I really feel that people don't really experience animals at the zoo, because you could go and look in and never see it because it
might be hidden or
it could be hidden. The thing is so big you can't see it. So we take pride in getting you up and close with the animals, and we also have a lot of interactions where you can go in and pet the dingoes or go in and play with the lemurs and or feed a shark off a stick or stingrays or a lot of other stuff like that. So I think that's kind of our bread and butter, as we say, is that you can come in and you can have a really intimate, fun experience with an animal that you just would look at a normal zoo.
How many animals approximately do you have there?
Approximately 380 species of animals.
That's a lot.
But it's a big mixture. We have mammals, we have reptiles, we have a lot of fish, in which eats up a lot of that count, and then we have birds. We even have insects.
Yeah. So you have
big spiders.
You have all sorts of types of animals.
Yes.
And then besides that, you also have mini golf in there too, right?
Yep. We have a full mini golf. It's it's themed underwater, and so it's full of tanks, and it's got a cool arch tank that you walk under, and the fish are actually over your overhead and all that kind of stuff. So, and it's all in black light too, so it's kind of a kind of a unique.
So that's taking
experience.
your construction background that you had done previously. Now, rumor has it you're expanding this. Is that true?
I am, actually. We're probably about 2 weeks from opening it. We unfortunately missed the summer, but we have another 1.5 acres behind Wild World where we've expanded. And I built a really cool Mayan temple back there that the lions and tigers crawl all over now. And but we have wolves, lions and tigers, kangaroos, all sorts of animals back there now.
Yeah. So folks, you might not have known this, but there's an expansion going on, and there'll be even more animals very soon at Branson's Wild World.
Yeah. And we're not raising our price at all.
They're not. So you're going to get more for your buck. Okay, here's the deal. This is a great place for us to stop. We'll be back in just a second with more exciting new information on a new attraction here in Branson. Stay tuned. Hey folks, welcome back to Playing Branson, and we are here today with James Kelly, and we've been talking about Branson's Wild World, but I want to talk about something new. And so you're just going gangbusters. You've got this new attraction called Retromania, and you've got a lot going on. So can you tell people, because it's kind of been secretive.
Yeah, well, Branson's kind of that way. You don't put anything out there until it's ready to go. So, yeah.
So tell people, what is Retromania?
Well, Retromania is like another family attraction, because I only do family attractions, and it's based on the 1980s. It's
1980s, folks. Yeah.
It's kind of a nostalgic trip back in time where you can see a lot of really cool things and have a lot of fun based on what some people consider the greatest decade ever.
Yeah.
And it really isn't. It really isn't, because it's just the 80s were unique in the fact that all the technology we take for granted today came from there. A lot of the characters that we know from television, they're even remaking movies that they made before over again, and it all came from the 80s. So I kind of feel like it's like the new nostalgic thing for people to do, and so I took the fun of the history of the 80s and then brought it into like cool family entertainment stuff.
Okay.
So we have like a whole mini golf based on retro rockers. We have a haunted house based on your favorite horror slasher characters like Freddy Krueger and Jason, all that kind of stuff. We have escape rooms based on the movies like Back to the Future. And we have like a whole, kind of like a mini wax museum of movie icons that you can take your pictures with.
Wow.
And then we have a arcade, a free play arcade. It doesn't cost money to pay it, and we have a gift shop, and then there's a full restaurant and bar there too.
And so all of this is going to be themed, kind of around the 80s.
Yes.
So folks, I grew up in the 80s, and if you've watched the show, you know that. I graduated in 1988. So you're kind of
89.
You're 89.
84.
So, 84 on the other side of the camera there. So we're all 80s guys. But so I think that's going to be pretty fun for folks.
Well, I thought that the new generation that's coming in, you might be an older adult and you have younger kids or grandkids, but you grew up in the 80s and they don't understand it, because I have these arguments with my daughter all the time. Oh, here's a new song. I said, that's not a new song. That's a remade song. Oh, here's a new movie. That's not a new movie. And then now she wears the ripped up jeans and all the stuff that was, all came back. It all came back.
Yeah, that's what happens though. Like, it does come back. I love it when I go to a basketball game and I'm hearing music that was originally in the 80s, and they still do play a lot of 80s music.
Sure, they play Queen, during basketball games, we are champion. They play all that kind of stuff, and
so. Like, do I buy one ticket and I get everything, or
Pretty
can
much.
you pick and choose what you do?
Well, you buy one ticket and you get majority of the attraction. The escape games cost a little bit more because they're kind of more intense and they take a long time and they take a lot of someone's time to run them.
Right.
And then, of course, food and drinks is on you. So
Right.
there's no free food and drinks anywhere.
Now, is that going to have a different name to it, the restaurant, or is it
Well,
just
the
part of
restaurant
the
we're calling the New Wave Cafe.
The New Wave Cafe.
And it's, the other great thing about the 80s, other than the movies, was the music. The music was awesome. And so many different new genres came out of it. Originally, my idea was to do the punk rock cafe, but I was like, I don't know how many people are still into punk rock. But New Wave, people are really still into that. And it has a wide variety of what came out in the 80s is still there. So there'll be music videos, there'll be fun music. We have a karaoke stage where people can sing karaoke. And I think eventually we'll have bands on the weekends and stuff like that too.
So folks, this whole venue is really totally changing, and it used to have a theater upstairs. It's been different things, and so if you're not quite familiar where this is, I could tell you it's across from Domino's Pizza. I could tell you it's very close to the Ferris wheel. It's very close to the Titanic Museum. It used to be called the Dream Theater. So it's really right in the heart of Branson's entertainment there on West 76 Country Boulevard. In fact, I have an address. Tell me if it's wrong, but I've got 3307. Is that good?
That's right.
That's right. Okay, 3307 West Country Boulevard. So Retromania. Are you going to be open 7 days a week there? Or?
We should be. I mean, it's new, so I don't really know what to expect as far as that is concerned. So I think for the time being, we're going to try to open 7 days a week. We'll probably start... the restaurant won't open right away, but when it opens, it'll probably just be like a dinner and late night thing, and then it might expand to lunch later on.
Okay.
So.
Let's go back for just a moment. I want to go back to Branson's Wild World because we were talking about wolves off camera, but you have these, like when I went there, I was like, I got really close to these wolves, and you have some new ones. Is that right?
Yep. Well, my original pack, they're all pushing 10 years old now, and they don't live much longer than that. So I sent them to another facility that we have in Stanton. We have a sister zoo in Stanton, and they went there to live out the rest of their life. And we have a brand new pack of baby wolves. So they're only about this big right now, and they're growing up with us.
Wow,
so.
That's cool. And so I'm guessing you have people that work for you that full-time just take care of animals.
Yep. Yeah, they basically live and breathe it, yeah.
Yeah. And so this new expansion that we talked about, will it be outside and people go outside?
It's all outdoor.
Okay, so people will be able to go out
there.
there.
Yeah, but if it's raining, we'll have a way where people can bypass and they don't have to go outside. And so one great thing about Wild World has always been that, we're kind of a rain and shine place. If it's raining, it's great. We have so many things indoors, you don't have to go outdoors. And or if it's too hot and people don't want to do it, they don't have to,
Yeah. Okay, folks, I've promoted several times on the show the Play Branson magazine. Now, the picture that you see here is actually a picture from a guest at Branson's Wild World. And so this was not a stage shot, but it's just a cool picture. And so there's an article in our magazine about Branson's Wild World and everything in there. So if you want more information, you can come here as well.
Awesome.
So anyway, yeah. So we got to talk about this quickly too, is like people think Branson just had an aquarium, a new aquarium this year, but you've had an aquarium in Branson for really a long time.
Yeah, for 11 years, yeah.
Yeah. So, folks, besides all the different types of animals, he's got the fish over there.
I have the most sharks in Branson. I have the most alligators or crocodilians in Branson. I have more animals than pretty much any place does, but a lot of people just haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. Folks, go check out Branson's Wild World. And if you have a kid at home that just loves animals, Branson is a great place to come because there are lots of different what I'd call animal attractions, and so you could have a whole vacation just based around animal attractions in Branson. So we'll be back in just a moment to wrap up the show. And James, thanks for coming out.
There are so many things to do in Branson. You need help planning and booking all your fun. You need ibranson.com. You can find everything Branson has to offer from your computer, tablet, or cell phone. You can even buy tickets online or talk to one of their friendly Branson travel specialists. There's no sales pitches, no delivery fees, no service fees, and no waiting. It's fast and easy. Find your fun at ibranson.com. Do it all online or call 877-ENTERTAIN. That's 877-368-3782. ibranson.com.
Hey folks, welcome back to the show. We're wrapping the show up today. I think you're going to want to go check out Retromania. It looks like it's going to be a fun new attraction, and also Branson's Wild World. If you love animals, it is a great place to go see a big variety of different types of animals. I think going and seeing the new expansion would be pretty awesome as well. Now, here's the deal. Would you like to win some Cold Stone ice cream? If so, go to our Facebook page and put the address of where Retromania is going to be. The first person that does that will win some free Cold Stone ice cream here in Branson, Missouri. Next week's show is Jody Medeiros. He is with All Hands on Deck, got an excellent entertainment resume, I would say. It's the first time he's ever been on here. He's with a show called All Hands on Deck. You will want to watch that show to hear from him. Here's some things coming up right around the corner here in the Ozarks. These are what I call special or limited engagements. We've got Dustin Lynch on September 10th, Colin Ray out at Silver Dollar City on September 10th, Black Hawk September 11th, Wade Hayes over at Silver Dollar City as well on September 17th, followed by Lone Star on September 18th. And then we have Nelly. Nelly hasn't been to Branson in a long time, played the Grand Palace years ago. It's kind of controversial. He's going to be in the area on September 17th. And then we have the Oak Ridge Boys coming September 22nd, and a whole bunch of dates this fall. Jimmy Fortune coming up September 23rd, and a couple other dates later this fall. And Daly and Vincent September 30th, and some other dates later this fall. So lots of great special entertainers besides all our normal great regular shows in town. If you need help planning your Branson vacation, hotels, shows, attractions, you can call the folks at ibranson.com. That's 877-ENTERTAIN, or you can just go on ibranson.com and book it anytime, day or night. And here's the deal. If you need help, you will actually be able to get a real person on the phone from Branson, Missouri. You know, I always tell you this, that, you know, I tried to call Ticketmaster and they don't even take phone calls anymore. So service is important. And the folks at ibranson.com provide great service. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back next week with more Play Branson.